Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio. Got one of my friends here with me today that hasn't been on the show before, and she's going to tell us about some squatching that she did over in Idaho this summer. She was over there visiting the Rellies, and while she was hanging out with her brother, he decided to let her know about a place that he was going to where he's pretty sure there was Bigfoot around and found signs of them before, and sort of like she got excited about the idea of going up there. So let me welcome on the show Sunny. Hey, Sunny, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for the intro.
Oh, you're very welcome. Glad to have you on the show.
Glad to be here. Sorry, I'm nervous.
I have nothing to be nervous about. So anyway, your brother actually had this area, and he knows that there's such a thing as Bigfoot, and he's been up there like checking it out. And from what you were telling me, this area is sort of like out in the middle of nowhere. Can you ballpark it for us, kind of roughly where it is? It's somewhere in Idaho.
Well, it's not quite in the middle of nowhere. It's actually kind of close to a couple towns, but it's all BLM land, and he's a logger. And
Does him and his buddies have a name for him? I mean, obviously most of the loggers around this area seem to know that they're out there, and the ones up in Libby call them timber apes. I was just wondering if they use the same name for him, if they have something different they call them.
He calls them squatches. He calls the place Jurassic Park, that area that he goes into. And he calls it the nursery because that's where they give birth to their young. And he wasn't kidding. The very first, you got to understand, for years he's told me about this area and some of his encounters, and I'm like, well, take me with you. Take me there whenever I come down and visit. And he's like, He said he's never wanted to because he knows they're real. And as he says, these ones are dangerous. They don't play. They're not habituated to humans. They don't like humans.
Well, they're sort of out there in the sticks for a reason because they're not pillaging off of us and being nearby, and they just want us to stay the hell out of their area.
I mean, where they are is a perfect place. The draw, they have elk. I've never seen more wildlife in one place, just centered in one place. They have deer, elk. I have pictures of turkey and stuff. That day was like National Geographic Day of different wild animals when I was down there. But I begged him, and he finally said yes. He'd take me up there, but to be very, very cautious. He's very terrified of that area. Now, you got to understand, my brother has been a logger since he was 16. This man is a mountain man par excellence. He's not afraid of anything in the woods, nothing. But he is afraid of this area. And when we went up there, we didn't even get more than 50 feet in the gate area where the BLM, they gated it all off. We parked at the gate. We started walking, and he was like, shh, be quiet. And we started walking up, and he was, because, I've been in the military, and he would do hand signals too. Here, listen, and he'd point away, and he'd listen and stuff. And he's like, they're close, they're watching, there's a sentry, he's watching us, and I'm sitting here. I'm scared, but I'm like, I don't see anything, but I'm terrified. And then I start seeing all these little footprints, little weird, stubby baby footprints. They're not like the adult size footprints. They're more like, when you're a little kid on a bus and you take your fist and you stamp it onto the window and then take your fingers and make the toe marks? how blocky that is. That's kind of the way these ones are. They're just blocky, but they're like everywhere. Like everywhere. And we saw a couple handprints.
Caveman gave us a couple pictures for anybody that missed the last show with him. Go back and check those out. They had the carcass of a dead cow that they had hauled out away from useful areas, and all of the scavengers were going after it. And they went over and took pictures of the tracks around it. And there's squatchlet track there, too. So there's another example to look at, in addition to the ones that Sonny took and sent with you can look at right now.
But we didn't stay there very long because the sun was going down really fast, and my brother was trembling. And the thing is that he's the woodsman, the logger, the nothing scares me. I mean, a bear can go roar in his face and he'd slap it. You know,
So for you, this must have been like really, really alarming to have your brother.
I was scared because he was scared.
Right.
I wasn't scared because I had seen anything other than prints, but I was scared because I've never seen my brother tremble.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, we got to go. This isn't smart. We got to go. We got to go. We got to go. So I'm like, okay, I will follow your lead. If you're telling us we're going to go, let's go. So that was the first, unquote, day. Second day, he was like, he's like, promise me you don't come up here without me. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, okay. Well, he went logging, and I'm sitting here like, I want to go see. It's daytime. They'll probably be asleep in the draws, you know. Nothing's going to happen. So I get everything, water, my mom's 357, you know. I pack myself up, but I put it in my backpack because you don't want to look aggressive. I mean, they can smell again, but they don't have to see it.
Right.
So I go up there, and I'm like, this is the most stupid thing I've done in ages. But I'm like, okay, let's go. I walk every few feet, and I stop. And I look, and I listen. When you're in the woods, you should be doing that anyways.
Is this the day you took most of the pictures, or the pictures that you sent?
This is the day that I have the one picture behind me where the mom and the baby are.
So nice conditions, nice and clear and sunny.
Beautiful sunshine, blue skies, no chemtrails in the sky. It was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hot. It was like freaking 101. So I'm thinking...
Yeah, and you're not used to that. You're a tundra girl, so that must have been tough for you.
65 is hot for me. I'm like, but I'm like doing my little Trumpy out thing. And I got a couple really cool pictures of bucks and stuff like that, and I have some other pictures I will have to get through and send to you, because most of my pictures, it's not like, ooh, I saw something, let me take a picture of it. It's where I hear an unnatural sound in the woods. I mean, I've been raised in the woods my whole life. I live in the woods.
Right.
You know what's supposed to be there and what's not. And whenever I hear something not supposed to be there, I take a picture in that general direction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a lot of my cool pictures came out, is because, and I'm not even the one that found them. My husband, who's a total skeptic until now, is the one that found those pictures. Because he'd be zooming, because I'm really technologically challenged in the worst way imaginable. But anyways, I start going, and I'm really scared, and this big old beautiful red buck jumps out, and I'm like, ah! You know, something's going to eat me. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, stop it, girl. You are not jumpy. These are the woods you grew up in. Why are you so afraid? And I'm thinking, because my brother's afraid, and that's something.
Yeah.
And
he told you to not go up there by yourself for some reason, which you seem to have ignored.
I did. That's just me. I did bring my mom's cell phone. I did put it on silent because I didn't want it to ring in an awful time. But so I was taking just pictures around, and then all of a sudden this truck comes down. It's a BLM road where they logged, because my brother's one that had logged this whole area. But this truck comes down, and he's like, you're the one with the black SUV back there, right? I'm like, yeah, am I not supposed to be here? And he's like, no. He goes, if we have a fire, the fire department's just going to drag the you're parked right in front of the gate. You can't be parked like that. Park off to the side. He goes, I don't mean to be a, but, And then him and I got talking because he's building a cabin way down in the, 3 miles down the road because they're trying to sell the parcels off to now people, which now that I know it's up there is not the smartest thing to do. But, so anyways, we started gabbing and shooting shit, and having another human there made me feel a lot better. And I'm like, well, if this guy, I asked him, I was like, have you seen anything? And he's like, well, describe anything. I was like, have you seen stuff around here that just doesn't belong? And he's just like, well, I don't know about any of that. And, he just kind of brushed it off, which kind of made me go, But I'm like, and he's like, be careful, there's a couple wolf up here and a couple bear that have been pretty aggressive at times towards him while he was building this cabin. I'm like, okay. I was like, I got protection, I'm good. He's like, okay. So he drives on. And, I went from being terrified and jumping at every little sound to, okay, it's a beautiful sunny day. This guy's in a big truck making sounds, going up and down because he's, going in and out and getting supplies, building this off-grid cabin.
Mm-hmm.
So for some weird, stupid reason, I'm like, okay, I'm safe. It's hot. Nothing in its right mind but a human would be out in this heat.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is going to chill out in the draws and the bushes down by the creeks, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So I'm like,
sit underneath the branches in the shade where it's a little cooler.
Uh-huh. And so I'm like, okay, I'm happier. I'm a lot more relaxed. And, okay, you don't even know. Feathers are my thing. My personal belief is God allows your loved ones, or even him himself, he'll send me feathers I collect them. And I feel like it's the way God says, I love you, or, that kind of thing. And all of a sudden I started finding just a feather on the side of the road. I'm like, cool. Mind you, I had 27 feathers by the end of my walk.
Wow.
And it's every 10 to 20 feet, there was a feather perfectly right where I'm walking on the side of the road, which is kind of interesting. I'm like, I've never found feathers like this. If something gets caught or eaten, a whole bunch of feathers get left behind, or, that are...
Yeah, all in one place usually, not spread all over.
Right. And, there were some tom turkeys that were boop, 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 and they were, leaving some of their feathers, when they all puff up. But, it's it's almost like it was a little breadcrumb. But at the time, I really wasn't thinking breadcrumb. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Okay, thank you, God, each time I'm sticking them in my glasses and my hair, to bring back to Alaska with me. But anyways, I get to this beautiful outcropping. My feet are hurting really bad because I had issues. So I stop and I turn around and I take a selfie. And I'm like, okay, this has been a good day. Took a couple more pictures. Mind you, all along here I've been hearing these loud pops. When you're talking about a tree breaking, and I'm not talking about a little branch, but, a log, when something really heavy steps on it and that pop cracks and, that I'm like, I'm going to ignore you. Because I have found that if you ignore things sometimes, because we have them up here, if you ignore them, things will be fine. We are their source of entertainment. We are their Facebook or their TV. We're silly, and they watch us, and they mess with us because we're fun. Mm-hmm. However, if you pay attention to them and you let them know that you know, that they know you're there, that's a game changer. It changes the whole dynamic. It is no longer fun or cute or just play with the human. It becomes not so nice, and it can become quite aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
But, mind you, I'm taking pictures left and right because there's footprints everywhere. But I'm like, okay, I can't walk any further. I'm getting really tired. It's now 104. I'm now out of my water. My water bladder's empty, and I'm like, I'm going to start walking back. So I walk back taking pictures as I go. Oh, please remind me, I have 2 really good pictures I need to send to you to have sent away to have them cleared up. Just remind me because it's really cool.
Okay.
But, okay, go home. Mind you, my mom's phone is off, but it's on vibrate, so my back's been vibrating periodically all throughout the day. And I finally get to the car, and I pull it out, and I call, and it's my brother. He's like, what the hell? Why? Mom said that you went up there. I told you not to go up there. And he just went off on me, which made me, he loves me. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, then come with me. And he's like, I can't. I'm working. I'm like, okay, fine. Second day comes around. I'm a curious person.
Yeah,
and
apparently.
because I made it out of there alive, I'm like, okay, I can do this. Went back up again. Took a bit more water, a couple more bananas, some more food, and I took some more, the gel that I put on my feet so I don't hurt so bad. But mind you, I decided from the get-go, the very first time, I'm wearing the same clothes, the same hat, the same everything. And I do that because even up here, even animals, if you wear the same thing, it's easier for them to recognize it as you.
Yeah.
So this is the one little hairless biped thing that was up there the last 2 days in a row. She didn't hurt us. We're all good. Okay. And I think that ties into why they become as active as they did the third day. When I went up there, that's when I was hearing breaks. I knew I was being followed. I knew I was being paced, which kind of freaked me out. But I was like, okay, and I did some rock clacks, and I was singing because I like to sing. Well, I had sat down. Oh, I didn't send those pictures to you. I'll have to send these to you. I had sat down to take a rest, and I saw this little, like a blonde bear color, that blonde, reddish blonde.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a cone head in between the trees, and I'm looking at it going, no. There's no. I'm like, well, I'm just going to take a picture of it. I kept
just in
the
case.
picture, and I sang a little bit, and I took a couple follow-up pictures, and you can see where it literally moves, frame by frame, moves away. And I'm like, okay, that was, okay. I'm like, duh. And then I finally got to milepost 11, and I'm seeing where on the side they have, where it says milepost 11, the metal markers and these big, huge footprints right up it. I haven't been seeing very many big prints. I see baby prints or toddler prints or teen prints everywhere. Not really.
So there's a lot of evidence that there's little squatchlets and juveniles and toddlers, and they're all running around the area.
I only saw one old track of a large one.
Is that the one in the puddle?
Nope,
that's
the one.
You didn't get to that one.
That one's in a different video that I have to figure out how to get to you. But
anyway,
I stepped by it and I put my hand in it, and it's metal. You can't just bend these things. But where I put my hand, if you imagine my hand 3 times bigger than it was like a perfect fit to where it bent it as it walked up this trail. On the trail, you could see the big footprints on there. There's a couple deer prints and stuff, but it was big footprints.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made a little video of that too. I turn it off, and all of a sudden I hear, when you try to start a chainsaw, and it goes, whoom.
Yeah.
Whoom. But this one, it did that, yeah. And then it went, whoom, and then it went, kind of like a zombie. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? Not more than maybe 40 feet. And then I heard rock clacks, and they were big. It wasn't like click, click. It was like, and I'm like, I had my shoe taken off because I was getting rock out of it, and I just froze. And I'm like, there's nobody around me. Nobody. The one guy that had been working, he had already left and locked the gate thing. There is nobody just around that little corner. And I'm like, oh my God, don't react, just breathe. Put my shoe back on as fast as I could. And I'm like, okay. That's not normal. It's not any animal. And then you heard just snap, snap, right? And then this 900-pound duck. Quack, quack. I'm like, no.
The bionic duck sighted again.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, the stupid part of me, I'm not, the audience doesn't have to know I passed, but you know why I'm inquisitive for a reason.
Yeah.
And why I take the chances I do. So I'm like, okay, I got to see what this is because it knows I'm here. That's why it's making that sound, so it wants my attention. I'll give it my attention, just please, for the love of God. Lord, please just don't let me run into it. So I go over, and I found this beautiful little pond. Gorgeous little oasis. Gorgeous. It has frogs. It also has mud and thousands of tracks in it. From, I know how to track and stuff, and I'm like, holy, this is amazing. I wish I had plaster of Paris. But in those mud prints, you could see little baby Bigfoot prints, but not very many adult ones until you go down to the water line. And the bigger Bigfoot, the adults would step into the mud next to the water line.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think they think that water washes their prints away.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I got the one really good print where it's an adult, but on the very bottom it's crisscrossed with the little baby squatch.
It's got your foot next to it.
Mm-hmm. But inside that water, inside that pond, there were 10, 20, not 20, probably 13, 14 maybe prints, like crystal clear prints. But by this time, I was hearing things I didn't like coming from the little tree line that runs right next to it. So I turn, and this is the video that I have. I turn, and I hear this. It sounds like if you've ever heard a really pissed off bear when it huffs.
Mm-hmm.
It's an angry huff, and it'll like clack their jaw. Except there was no jaw clack, and the huff was a lot bigger. It took more lung capacity to make this huff.
Right.
And I'm like, so I was like taking pictures, stills, and I was panning it over, and then I could hear footprints, like bipedals, like as it walked from.
Big old footsteps.
Mm-hmm. And then crack, and then this tree just whipped. And we're not talking about a little pecker wood. We're talking about an actual tree,
right.
A good, nice pine tree. And it whipped and then snapped. And I'm sitting here, and then I heard a growl, a deep, guttural growl. It's not a dog growl. It's not a wolf. It's not coyote. It's not bear. It's not cougar. But it is a deep, guttural growl that you feel. And that's when I need to get you the video, but you can see it in the video where my whole body reacts, and I just kind of jerk back. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to start backing away because I'm like, if I turn and run, I'm prey. Anybody that's been raised in the woods, your parents teach you never run. If you run, even if they weren't going to attack, whatever it is, if you run, it will. That's just instinct.
Yeah, running away triggers the predatory chase reaction.
Mm-hmm. And I was backing up, and all of a sudden I heard one run behind me, and I'm like, and all of the rushes and all the stuff are taller than I am. I'm 5'6", and they were taller than I was. I'm turning around with the video, and you can see where I can't see over them. I mean, who would have thought weeds would be as tall as a human, but they are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do I get out of here? And then I realized, oh my gosh, I felt like a gazelle in the Serengeti at the only watering hole at sundown.
Uh-huh.
And there's all these lions creeping up towards me because I realized that's exactly what I put, because it was like 4 or 5. It was during that time where the other animals would start to come in to get their water. And there's only one way to get in and one way to get out. And I'm like, oh, boy. And I heard the one that run behind me went around to where the place to get out. So I'm like, I'm going to die getting out of here. And even if they don't kill me, one of the rattlesnakes, because the rattlesnakes were coming out because it was the end, and they come out to sit in the gravel road, the BLM road, to warm up and hunt.
Mm-hmm.
But that, I really thought I was going to die. So I was recording it just in case. I was like, in case I become part of 411, at least you'll know how. But there's that one, and there's another video where I come from, I hear a pop and stuff, and that's where another old It's an older print, but there was one there. But that's where I got that one that you posted.
Mm-hmm.
The one that's sitting there. That's why I took that picture as part of that video.
Sitting next to the tree. And your guesstimate is that sitting there next to that tree, he's like 5 feet, or she is 5 feet tall, sitting there.
Oh, those bushes are at least 5 feet tall that she's sitting in. So she has to be bigger than that.
Well, yeah, she's sitting.
Yeah.
With a squat on her head, apparently.
With a squat on her head, right? And the one that the selfie that I took from the day before, when they're both behind me, the mom, you can see half of her, and then the baby is kind of looking at the mom like, "What is it, Mom?" That root ball is over 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
That root ball is way taller than I am. So, and I have a lot more. I just need to. I am sorry. I am not. I am extremely technologically challenged, but I will try hard to get you all the rest of the stuff. But both of those times where I took the video, I wasn't sure I was going to make it out. I'm like, I'm being stupid. I shouldn't have done this. I now know why. He was telling me not to come here, and every time my brother found out that where I was, he was just going nuts, and my mom was worried, but John was pissed, and he's like, "You're gonna die. Stop going there." So,
yeah, it's not a good idea to go where they got the little ones at. They're hyper defensive and pretty aggressive at that point. They don't want you around where the little ones are.
Yeah. Now, the very next day, even with John saying so, well, not the very next day, but it was the day before I came back here home. I'm like, you got to at least go up. We'll car camp. There's no way in God's green earth that I would actually be in a tent up there. No, not happening. But I'll sit in a metal tent. But, he was drinking and having fun. We actually had a blast. And there was a bunch of, there was an Ecuadorian goat herder up there, sheep herder that had like 2,000 head of sheep that was over on the side of the mountain. We went and found him and talked to him. And they'd seen some things, too, that they were really afraid of. And we got back, and when we were going to sleep, he slept in the front and I slept in the back. Well, I can't say I slept. I laid down in the back. And it was night. It was pitch. So it was probably like 10. And something would rock. It's a Nissan Murano. The Murano would rock. And at first I thought maybe it's just me or an earthquake, because up where I live we have earthquakes all the time. It's not a big deal. Yeah. It's a big deal if you don't have an earthquake, because then a big one's coming. So I'm just like, well, maybe they have an earthquake here. And then it would rock again. And I'm like, harder. And I'm like, that's not an earthquake. And I don't smell anything. Okay. Now, all the days that I've been up here, I've been smelling a really equine smell. To me, they smell like horse or stock.
Or sweat, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad smell to me, at any rate. But I've been having that really strong horse equine smell. And it wafted through because I rolled the windows down because it was in the hundreds. Ooh, 97 at night. Ooh, that's cool. Like sweating all off. So I kept the windows open to allow for air to come in. So I could smell a waft, and it was just like it would shove the Murano and would rock. So I was shaking him up. He's like, "What?" I'm like, we're being rocked. And it rocked when he was awake-ish, and his eyes opened. Like, okay, I felt that. I'm like, what do you want to do? And he's like, let's just drive down a couple miles, get out of their territory-ish. I'm like, okay. And I'm sitting here because my knees are all messed up, and I'm expecting John to hop into the driver's seat, but nope, he goes back to sleep. I'm like, great. So I climb over the back of the seat, get down there. And if you know how much pain I'm in, you have to know how fearful I was to do that. Got in, and as I go, and my brother's left window is broken. So, as soon as it hits the top, it'll roll all the way down. You have to roll it up little bit by little bit.
Oh, God.
So yeah, you got where I'm going with this. I go up because I forget it, and it goes down. I'm like, ah! And I'm like trying to get it back up. I'm expecting a hand to come through and just rip my head off, right? But it doesn't, thank God. And I leave all of our camping stuff outside because we had a grill and stuff that I left outside. I just left it. Forget it. I'll come back if it's here. If it's not, I don't care. So I go down, and he's like, you can stop here. And I'm like, but we're not out of their territory yet. And he goes, this is fine. He goes, just pull over here. And I'm like, okay. So this time, I roll the windows all the way up, and I leave the back ones down about a quarter of an inch. And I lay there, and all of a sudden I hear, bink, on the top of the car. Bink, bink. And I'm like, what the hell? And he's tossing the little pine cones onto our car. Something was tossing, and I'm like, okay, well, we are parked where there's other trees. Possibly, maybe they're falling from the tree, even though, no. If you look up, there's like nothing above us. But I'm trying in my head, right? And all of a sudden, pink, harder and harder. And I'm like, lovely. And then all of a sudden we get pushed. And it's a hard push. It's not the gentle rocks that we were getting up by the gate. And I'm like, oh, it followed us. We didn't go far enough. And this is the first time I've ever smelled the stink that everybody's always talked about. Now, in the past, I've smelled nastiness before, but for us, it's more of a, my other story. But it's an unpleasant odor, but it's not outhouse. It's more of a sulfuric smell that I smell, but this was outhouse. And trust me, I've used an outhouse for years. It's outhouse. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I hear this roar. And I'm like, what the?
Time to go.
Wake up. And he's like, what? I'm like, listen. And it was doing the, ooh, ooh, ooh. Mind you, I can't do it to save my life. Because I don't have the vocal cords or the lung, the lung capacity. But he's like, let's go home. We left everything and we just drove home. We got home. We went ahead and barbecued up some meat because we had to go to church later that day. We were just like, we were whooped. And then after church, we went up and got it and it was still there. But all the meat that we had tossed, I did a very bad thing. I had tossed chicken and stuff that wasn't cooked out into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that when you camp, you don't do that because that'll bring bear and stuff in. But my brother was hoping to bring other things in. But what was weird is none of it was touched. And what I mean by none of it was touched, I mean you would expect a coyote.
Yeah.
Or a weasel.
Or some little small animal.
A bird. Birds eat meat.
Yeah.
Something. Insects. But nothing. Not even an insect. Not even flies were landing on this. And I'm like, what in the heavens? That doesn't even make sense. But I'm like, I want to get out of here. I'm good. So then we went to church and got ready, and then we went up and I got on my plane and came up. But that was, and then when I got home, we started looking through things, and I found a couple things to show my mom. And she was like, she's kind of mad that she wasn't taken up there. But I'm like, no, Mom, it's scary.
Yeah, really. No thanks.
And she was mad at John for not taking her, and John's like, you know what, Mom? It's because I love you. I don't want you dead. And the same reason I didn't want my sister up there. But yeah, it was a pretty intense few days. Definitely won't go back there again.
Well, and you're lucky that you survived that, and you should actually listen to your brother when he tells you that they're crabbier down here and more aggressive. And you're in an area with squatchlets, so of course they're going to be crabbier there. And you're just lucky all they did was shove your truck and throw some pine cones at you.
Right.
Well, you actually got more than that thrown at you.
Goofy.
Speaking of things throwing at you, you forgot to mention when you actually got hit by something thrown at you.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to send you that video. It's on the video where I'm like, ouch! But, yeah.
Well, tell us about it. Don't keep everybody in suspense.
I really don't want to go into that part, honestly. That brings back a lot of things that I'm honestly too scared, and I really don't want to face that right now. So I'll face things that didn't scare me so much, but that scared the crap out of me. And I still have pain from that. I'm still hurt, messed up my shoulder. I got a torn tendon.
And what did they hit you with exactly?
A log.
A log.
A log. Yeah, I don't think a bear can throw a log.
No, they're lousy at it. Logs can fly horizontally when there's a lot of wind to push them. But generally that doesn't happen in the woods.
Yeah. Not generally. But, oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I know I'm awful at telling stories.
You got logs thrown at you, you got growled at you, you had them shoving the truck and growling at you. They definitely didn't want you around there.
No, they didn't. I think for the first couple days I was entertainment for them. Obviously, the moms didn't think, even though I had a gun, I didn't even think about pulling it out. It's a .357, well, with heavy rounds in them. But I didn't even think about picking it up. I didn't even think about getting it out on because I have a camel back for my water bladder and stuff. I didn't even think about getting it. And we're talking about me. I'm a gun enthusiast. That's one of the first things I go for, and it didn't even. But the one where I got the mom, that was a selfie. I wasn't taking a picture in their direction. I was just taking a selfie. Here I'm sweaty, but it's a beautiful place, so let's take a picture.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's been cropped, so you only see like the very side of your head and what's like right over your ear looking at you in the tree line about 30 feet away.
If I did find the original, where you can actually see the eye of the mom. Mm-hmm. You can see the orange eye and the white surround it. But the babies look so goofy. They're cute, but they're goofy looking. So the look on that little squatchlet's face is like, Mom, do we eat it or does it eat us?
What is that thing?
That scared little quizzical look on its face. It's goofy. And they look different down there than they look up here. Up here they look more like Patty, but more animalistic in their facial. Down there they have that like the hood of hair that kind of goes over there where their eye is and stuff like that. It just they look different. I wasn't expecting to see that.
Yep. Well, different sub-varieties in different areas too. So there you go. And
I think it helps that
there's variations in their behavior. The last guest I was talking to was mentioning how the area that he was in, the one he was interacting with, they had a pretty benign reputation around there. People knew they were there, but they never really had any trouble with them. But if you went over across the valley to the mountain range closer to Montana, it was exactly the opposite. Anybody that ran into them over there was, these things were really nasty and aggressive and scary, and I'm not going there again, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
I think it helped that I was a female and that I was already
showing
injured.
Any guns. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was injured. You can tell that I'm injured. I have my whole body, my joints are all messed up, and I was wearing, braces, and I was limping and everything. So I'm a female. I'm an injured female to boot. So, I'm not really that much of a threat.
Right. You're not like brandishing a flamethrower or a, small nuclear cannon or something, so.
Well, also, and I wasn't walking strong and confident and, like I would normally walk. When you don't want to be attacked by something. I was just meandering, taking my time, singing, picking up all the feather trails that they were leaving for me. Oh, back to that feather trail. I'm sorry for everybody that's listening. I also have a brain injury. I have very short-term memory issues. So when I jump back and forth, it's because I'm trying to remember, and sometimes I don't, but then something will trigger it, and then I'll go back and remember. But with the feathers, those feathers led into that pond area.
Interesting.
And they also led into the other area that it was down an old four-wheeler trail. And even when I'm at the four-wheeler trail, I've got to get those videos sent somehow. I just don't know how to do it. I'm talking myself into doing this. I'm like, this is very stupid. I know that's down here. I hear that because there's a little chipmunk that's going ape nuts. That tick, 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 you know?
Yeah.
Everything went dead quiet except for the pissed off chipmunk. I'm like, because I could hear pops, breaks, snaps. I'm like, whatever's down there, it's either a bear or it's something bigger. I was figuring it's something bigger because when I went down, I started walking down the trail and picking up little feathers that were like it was like a freaking bread trail.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I don't care. I like feathers. I'll stick them in my hat. Stick them behind my glasses, which is why my selfies have feathers all over my head. But there was a feather right by this really big track. And I looked down and I videotape it and I kind of go, yeah, okay, I now know what's leading me down this way, but I'm still picking up. And then by the time my stomach was screaming, stop, 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 I was like, I'm going to listen because my stomach doesn't scream stop unless something's really wrong. And every time I disregard my stomach, bad juju happens.
Uh-huh.
So I stopped recording and I turned it off and I beat feet back to the road because, I mean, it was so entrancing, though, because it was so beautiful. I could understand why they lived there. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't more than a half a mile back I saw a small herd of elk down in the draw. I scared them. They jumped and they ran, you know, but I'm like, wow, there's a lot of wildlife there. That's a good thing for them. It's healthy ecosystem. But yeah, John was telling me that they're usually not here this early. That they usually come here September.
Mm-hmm.
Down in Idaho, the northern Idaho where he was. It's usually September, you know, late August, September that they'll come. So the fact that they were there, you know, early August surprised him.
Wonder why.
But then again, it was hot, and all the berries were ripe. It was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, and they follow the food.
Right.
No matter, I don't care where you are in the state, they follow the food.
Yeah. Well, even the bears do. They know when the local berry patches are ripe and when to go down. When's a good time to catch the salmon going up the river, and you know, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
They just know exactly when to go to certain spots. And of course, the Sasquatch being smarter, they're even better at it.
But you know you're being watched. You know, humans, we have our built-in fear factor, our gut response that most people have learned to ignore over the eons. But we all still have it, and it's there for our survival. You know, people are like, oh, you're not being watched. If all your hair is raising up on edge, and you know how you can pick and that's how I got a lot of pictures, is where I'd hear something or where I felt I was being watched from, I'd just turn, and I'd just snap a picture with my cam. It's my phone. I wish I had a normal camera. That would be awesome. But I was just snapping pictures of the direction where I felt danger from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if people listen to their gut more, they'd find a lot more things, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Or they'd survive longer.
Yeah. I can't say what I did was smart. And the thing was okay, the backstory to where this is, that's where I grew up at. And on that side of the mountain, they have this quarry. That's where they built the dam at. And that quarry has always been freaky. No matter who you are, nobody likes being up there. Not the dam workers, not anybody. But we'd go, you know, we were kids and we'd go, you know, we lived in the woods. We didn't have all the TV and all that kind of stuff. So we'd go up there and we'd play in the boulder area. But you knew that something dangerous was watching you up there. So a lot of times we'd like, let's go down the other side of the mountain. Play on the other side of the mountain. It's sunnier over there anyways. because this was the dark side of the mountain where the sun doesn't hit as much, so it's a lot thicker, denser.
Cooler, yeah.
You know, yeah, and plus, there was a black bear over there. He stalked me once before, and he finally got shot. But there's, it has a lot of wildlife.
Well, we found spots where they're taking care of the babies up here on Mount Sentinel too, and it tends to be the same thing. It's like they'll find an area where there's a nice shaded hillside, and then like the top of the hillside they'll use for a playground.
Mhm. But when I was younger, we were this big huge hole where they drilled down when they were building the dam. They drilled it hundreds of feet deep. Would stand in front of it because it was so cool. The wind coming out of there was cold, and it gets 100. You're hot, so you go stand in there. And then we were standing there one day, it smelled like something was dead and rotting. And mind you, we knew we weren't supposed to be there. And it was a big thing. It was a serious thing because you don't want. There was nothing stopping anybody from falling hundreds of feet deep down. So we ended up because we thought it was probably a dead body that somebody, killed and threw in there. So we went and told our parents, who told the Corps of Engineer, who went and promptly sealed it off. And that was the end of that. But when I was in my early 20s, I had taken my dog out for a walk. And no dogs as soon as you round that corner, the tails start going between their legs, no matter. And I had a big dog, and my mom's dog was a pit bull, and they're both tuck tail. And they wouldn't want to continue walking with me. And this time I felt something. You could tell something was staring. I started looking, and I thought there was this big marmot on top of the boulder rock. And I'm like, something's really weird about that marmot. Something's really wrong about this marmot. And all of a sudden, the marmot stopped being a marmot because there was two huge eyes on the side of it that blinked at me. And I'm like, not a marmot,
God.
not a marmot.
No, that's not a marmot. No.
And, I turned tail and I just ran the whole way home. But it was a brindle, pit bull brindle color.
Yep.
Where they're grays and browns and creams.
Mm-hmm.
That's the color that was, and its eyes were this beautiful, sunlit root beer. You take root beer and put it into the sun, and it has that amber, beautiful color.
Yeah.
It was that color, but the whites of the eyes were more like brown and yellowish, veiny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're like as big as Coke cans. They're not these small little eyes you see in the pictures. They were big.
Yeah, I don't get why the artists always do that, too, because it's like, oh, here's a drawing of the Bigfoots that so-and-so saw, and I'm like, why has it got just teeny little eyes squished close together? They don't look like that.
No. But because my brain was trying to make sense of this marmot, because my brain just wasn't wanting to see what it was seeing. It has to be a marmot sideways. That's not a marmot. What the hell is that? And then it blinked. I'm like, not a marmot. Not a marmot. And the thing was, I turned around. I turned around to get my dogs, and they were gone.
They got more sense. They're not sticking around.
So that whole area, and I didn't realize that just another couple miles, the way the crow flies, is their nursery.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if that much detail about where they are staying should be, because I really don't want them messed with. But,
well, that would be kind of suicidal, so we recommend you don't go mess with them, especially where they got squatchlets.
Yeah.
We found, like I said, a couple of those areas up here on the mountain, and each one we visited during the middle of the day, like once every 6 months, and that's it. We don't go up there otherwise. That's enough intrusion right there that probably doesn't make them happy, so.
Well, they didn't like it came with me at all. You could tell that just the air, the ambient, the energy in the air. But whenever he was there, he knows. He doesn't speak Sasquatch, but he knows enough to know certain things that they do. Because he'd go and he'd stomp a stick real hard when he felt that they were approaching us.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can feel when you're being crowded and herded, because they'll herd you. With me, I was a wounded old lady, not a threat, but you are coming to where me and my little squatchlets are laying down waiting for prey to come drink for the night. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You're messing up our mojo.
Yeah.
Now, my brother is a very strong man, and he's the ultimate hunter and woodsman. And his energy is a lot more dangerous than I am. Not to say that I'm not deadly with a gun, but I mean, my body's hurt enough to, I'm not much of a threat unless I have something to actually use. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm hurt old lady. Him, not so much. But, like, he'll stomp and do different things. I'm like, why are you doing that? Stop pissing him off. And he's like, no. He goes, you got to let them know that, no, they can't come after you. Like, he's one that you should really get on because I'm awful about retelling things in my life because I get so nervous I don't tell the story in its entirety. He, on the other hand, he's very good with doing that. Plus, he has all sorts of hunting and logging stories.
Well, you invite him on the show. Tell him to come on the show. I'll have him on.
I had already asked him, and he said yes, so I'll have to give you his info.
We're definitely going to have you on the show again, too, now. Is that pretty much it for the Idaho adventures from last summer, then?
Yeah, right now my brain's getting really tired, so.
Okay. Well, we're going to have you back on again because you're actually native Alaskan. You live up in Alaska. Mm-hmm. And lots of Bigfoot-related stuff happens in Alaska. And you've had incidents happen, and you have friends that have had incidents happen, and you have friends of friends, and you were even telling me there's some old-timer there that's like over 100 years old that has I can't, even imagine how many stories he's heard. So if you can cajole any of these folks into telling you their stories, you can relate them to us, or, even better yet, if you could get them to actually come on the show, that'd be great. But if at least they would share their stories with you, and you could, like, write them down or memorize them or whatever, and then the next time you come on the show, you can let us know. Tell us more stories about Alaska. Because I know Alaska's like Montana and Idaho. There's lots of Bigfoot. There's lots of sightings, but the locals just don't talk about it.
Taboo.
So it's like there's this giant...
Everybody knows that they exist, but nobody talks about it because the thing is, the belief is if you talk about it, you bring them into your world. Mm-hmm. That when you go out in the woods, you'll bring them, you're calling them to you, and nobody wants them. They're not
cool. Well, that makes it even easier to get pictures then. So I'm gonna talk about them even more than that. It'd be even easier to find them and get pictures when I go out.
Yeah. But,
well, part of that is the thing with all the native tribes that if anything that has sort of a supernatural or paranormal connection to it, if you use its real name, it's like you're, summoning a demon or something.
Yep.
So they especially won't use the real names for, like, the little people and the skinwalkers and things like that. But for some tribes, it does even extend to Bigfoot, too, where they don't even like to talk about that.
Caveman.
And then, some of them have, taboos, like if you see one, it's bad luck, or, if you talk about it, you bring yourself bad luck. Well, the thing is, if you see
one and you look them in the eyes, you're supposed to be dead within the next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's
totally not true. Yeah, that's
well,
totally
I know.
Not true.
But,
I can vouch for that being absolutely not true. Not only did I look in the eye a Sasquatch, I looked in the eye a Wendigo, and I still didn't die within a year. So, on that one. But anyway.
A lot of people just won't talk because it's outsiders make it a thing to make fun at, or they don't believe in. And a lot of the old timers, you talk to them up here, they seen up here in Alaska, we have things that just they go beyond the pale. And
I know you got like cave bears, dire wolves,
live.
And trolls, and people don't talk about them.
We know that they're alive. We
right.
we see them. But, it's not our job to try to make someone else believe. And,
right.
They're going to laugh and go, ah, ha, ha, ha. And then it's like, well, you know what? You go right on over there and find out for yourself, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you got trolls up there. There's worse things to worry about than Bigfoot even, and that's a good example.
Right.
So.
It's got a lot of things up here.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Even supposedly Ice Age things that are supposedly extinct, like,
mm-hmm.
cave bears and dire wolves.
Mm-hmm. Wrangell Mountains.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
you go to Lake Eola,
Nahanni Valley.
Bad things there.
Yeah, when you go past the borders of Alaska and you get over to the Nahanni Valley, there's another one.
Yeah, the Headless Valley.
Yeah, Valley of Headless Man. Good place to not go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't go there.
I know, we were talking about that. We were talking about that one time, and she was saying you couldn't get me to be on a helicopter within 100 feet of the ground, maybe.
Nope. Even still, nope. Nope. That's a whole bunch of nope fish.
See, that's a big nope there. So this is the person that goes to where they're not supposed to, where they know there's a Squatchlet playground by themselves, when they're warned not to go there, but they won't even helicopter into Nahanni Valley.
No. Not doing
I should tell you something. Yeah. Okay.
Not doing it. Nope. You can't make me.
Well, anyway, just to let the listeners know, I've been friends with Sunny for a long time now. I've been trying to get her to get on the show and tell us about some of her Bigfoot-related stuff that she's had experience with. And this is the most recent one here in Idaho. It just happened like 4 months ago. So, and she got a bunch of video, as she already mentioned. Really cool. So hopefully, like I said, we're going to have her back again, talk about some more stuff that's happened to her in the past, and also try and share some more stories that the other folks up there will share with her from what's going on around Alaska. So I guess basically what I'm saying is you can expect Sunny to be sort of our Alaskan correspondent going forward here, in the same way that we got Caveman down in the Southwest, and we've got Jack down in Australia, people that we can talk to over and over again and get the updates on what's happening in their part of the world for World Bigfoot Radio. But anything else you wanted to say before we get going here, dear?
Just whatever you see. When you go out in the woods, drop the city and embrace your stomach, your gut, because even if it's not a Sasquatch, if your gut's screaming you get out of there, that's because there's some type of predator of some sort in the area. Don't ignore it. Listen to it. It'll keep you alive. Right
on. That's good advice. And to that, I just want to add, always be safe. Safety first, safety last, safety always. Think about what your escape plan, if any, is going to be, and you need to have one in cases like this. And don't take ridiculous, reckless chances. Be kind to others, try and help people, and for God's sakes, whatever you do, do not hug the Wookiee. See you later.